Mario Kart World is a tragedy. Wait, am I talking about the flagship launch title of the Nintendo Switch 2? The sequel to the 5th best-selling game of all time? The game that will go on to be the Switch 2's best-selling game? The bigger, better, open-world entry in the classic series? That Mario Kart World? Yeah, that's the one. This game is a tragedy. But how could that possibly be? Well, the game is its own worst enemy. Everything I just listed off is true. The game is enormous. 32 tracks peppered across a gigantic open world, all slotted neatly into their own little biomes, with new and old tracks alike, all fitting perfectly-ish into their surroundings. New modes, new characters, new unlocks and features, all of it at your fingertips, and all of it still on the go, but now in 4K. What could this game possibly be missing? In short, Mario Kart World is in the midst of an identity crisis that threatens to rip the game in half. There's two games that Mario Kart World is trying to be. The first one is the next entry in the Mario Kart series, a fun, chaotic, fundamentally lightly competitive kart racing game that you can play with your friends and foes online, filled with all the Mario characters you know and love, and a bunch of other ones too. To that end, it's got new karts and bikes, new items, and new tracks to use them all on. There's so much to do here if you're looking for Mario Kart 9. But that ignores the world, because holding all of that gameplay up is the enormous open world, with its Shy Guy drivers and bridge rail riding and P-switch challenges and positively bumpin' music rolling through the whole thing. Free roam mode alone could have been enough to support the entire game, were it not for the flaws that hold it back. That's enough rambling. Let's get on with the review. I'm Volcaronite, and today we're looking at the tragedy of Mario Kart World. Alright, so what even is this game? Well, Mario Kart World is, in my view, one of the best podcast games I've ever played. In a first impressions video that I almost made before deciding to give this game the full review treatment, I talked about how this game was best played on the horn with your friends. You all get together in a room, don't even bother entering a race, just drive around in free roam mode and talk. Free roam mode is, without a doubt, the best part of this game. I would describe it as the game's flagship feature. And really, all it is an open world that lets you drive around and explore it from the comfort of your cart. It is an open world without enemies or boundaries or anything. It's not perfect, believe me, we'll get to its flaws soon, but it is genuinely cool in its own right. The game's world is basically a place where each of the 30-odd tracks are scattered. Each track is kind of the centerpiece for a little settlement of some kind. Peach's castle surrounds the castle town. Crown City is at the heart of a city. In most other Mario Kart games, these tracks are just surrounded by the facade of the places they represent. But here, in Mario Kart World, you can just go off the track and explore the world. It's genuinely so cool, and there's even a bit to discover. You can ride down the side alleys of cities, make your way up a mountain the back way, or even just hit the road and drive. Each of the tracks is pretty well integrated into the world, and connecting each and every one of these tracks is a big network of roads. Real roads with cars driven by a bunch of nose passhole Shy Guys and Koopas on their way to work, or tour buses that you can jump onto the side of, with hitchhikers and spectators and campsites and all sorts of stuff around the sides. There's a lot of motion in the world. It always feels alive. It also looks great, ignore that asterisk. It's so bright and colorful, with glowing lava lakes and the shimmering rainbow road, and yes, even your Volcaronite-approved, pretty autumn-themed area. It's shocking how few of these tracks feel like they're retreading each other's visual style. For the most part, they all feel visually distinct. Now, you might be thinking that an open world is great and all, but exploring it on a cart would be like playing Super Mario Odyssey without being able to jump. That would be a fair critique, except that, for the first time in generations, Mario Kart is getting new moves. Specifically, you can now perform a sort of straight-line drift. Most players have been drifting around curves and corners for boosts since 1992, but there's never been an intended way to boost your speed without a turn. Here in Mario Kart World, though, we've discovered the key. Just travel straight, no sideways movement, and start holding the drift button. Just like drifting, you'll start to gather sparks. Once you do, you can release them to get a little boost. There's one key difference here though. When you perform this boost, your car jumps. This is the ballgame, folks. This one change improves the already excellent game feel of the Mario Kart series dramatically. All of a sudden, barriers and players and walls aren't obstacles, they're roads to drive on. You can grind on a rail just by hopping onto it, drive along the wall to pass a slow cart, or hop onto the side of a moving bus, quickly dodge out of the path of a shell, bounce on another player's head, or just get the boost. Always be boosting is the motto now. No turns or ramps or dash pads required. This one seemingly minor mechanical change raises the skill ceiling of Mario Kart enormously. It especially helps to keep longer drives feeling fresh, which complements the game's modes beautifully. Free roam, as I said, is awesome. Being able to drive around, just jam into the truly fantastic soundtrack of the game. Chatting with friends is great. And if you're not playing with friends, that's okay too. There's little challenges that you can do around the world if you want. Use your skills to hit P-switches and jump through rings, or to grind rails to catch up to a charging chuck. Mechanical challenges built into the world of the game, sort of, that give you something to discover. We'll talk more about these challenges in a bit, but they are a genuinely fun thing to do that enriches free roam mode. I wish they were available in multiplayer free roam, but never mind that. There's also a new racing mode that hugely benefits from this mechanical variety. Knockout Tours are a new race mode that's kind of a hybrid between classic Grand Prix and Fall Guys, I guess. It's a big honkin' racetrack split up into 6 sections. 24 players enter, but at each checkpoint in between sections, the slowest 4 racers are immediately cut from the race. Slowly, over the course of the 10-ish minutes each tour takes, racers are eliminated. By the end, only 4 remain, and the first across the finish line wins. I know I keep saying this, but it's really cool. My favorite tracks in Mario Kart 8 were the really long ones, the ones that you didn't just circle 3 times. Big Blue stands out in my mind. Knockout Tour is that kind of track taken to the logical extreme, and it's a creative way to take advantage of the open world. Because the Knockout Tour has you racing on parts of tracks, but most of the time, you're driving down those connecting roads and paths between the tracks. I find it to be an inspired extension of the authentic party competitive Mario Kart formula. Those classic Grand Prix are here too, but I think this adapted less well to the open world. Each of the Grand Prix circuits has 4 tracks, as ever. On the first track, you race around 3 laps just like always. But for each of the next 3, you start your race at the previous track, and the first 2 laps are spent driving to the next track, before you do your single final lap around the track. I think this isn't a bad idea in theory, but next to the new Knockout Tour mode, it just feels like if Knockout Tour had mandatory breaks. It's alright, I guess. The last mode is one that was never going to be for me, because nothing like it has appealed to me in past games. Technically, there's 2 battle modes, Balloon Battle and Coin Runners, and truth be told, they're kind of lame. You and 23 other yahoos are dropped into a small, boring section of a much larger track, and you run around randomly trying to hit each other. Balloon Battle has you scoring points by hitting other players with items, while Coin Runners gives you points based on how many coins you're holding at the end. Both are timer-based, and I can see how they might appeal to someone else, but they aren't my thing. Still though, there's plenty here for me. Knockout Tours are cool, I like the new and old tracks, and who cares about all of that when free roam mode is here? I spent my first 5 hours with the game just gawking at this world. I mean, it's huge, and it looks so good from afar. And oh look, it's that asterisk from earlier, here to ruin our fun. What is it you found this time, my trusty asterisk? The road? That's what you're looking at, the road? I mean, how desperate must you be to find a flaw in the roads? Seriously, asterisk, you helped before, but this? Come on! Oh, look at the curves. Yeah, right there. Do you see? They're not curved at all. These cornered curves are what did it for me. It's the first thing I noticed that caused the facade of this game to start to crumble. Those damn cornered curves sent me on a journey to figure out what made this game feel so empty. Because these cornered curves aren't a big deal. Really, they barely matter at all. Okay, so the game has no curves, big deal. Does it make it a little worse if you're pixel peeping? I guess, but you're driving at Mach 4 when you're racing, so who cares? Except that, in Mario Kart World, you might not be racing by. You could be roaming around the world, checking out all the places that aren't along the beaten path. Peeking at the pipes, climbing across roofs, spying through binoculars, you might be actively exploring in this game. And when you see your first cornered curve, you'll realize that the game doesn't actually have any curves. Sure, character models do, well, some of them, and your pickups, some of the rings, then the stuff that spawns on the track. But if it's an object in the world, look closely. No curve, it's just straight lines linked together. The same trick they used in Super Mario 64 nearly 30 years ago. Now, you may be saying that there's not really any point in picking this nip, to which I would say that each of these is a point. No, I'm just kidding. What I'd actually say is that in a vacuum, you're right. The fact that Mario Kart World cut this corner, pun intended, does not do anything to affect the quality of gameplay. But this was just the start of my critical eye catching those cut corners. Textures, while nice from afar, are flat and featureless up close. It reminds me of the Source engine from Portal. Nothing has any depth. Again, these small visual quirks don't matter. Remember the low frame rate audiences from Mario Kart 8? No one was too fussed about them, except they were way off in the background, just seen in the periphery. They couldn't be seen any closer. But now, we can drive up into those stands. We have a reason to stop and stare at the rolling green fields instead of blitzing through them Sonic style. So we do notice them. We notice these decades-old graphics shortcuts on this, the flagship game of a console that only exists to up the power of the Switch. We wonder if this grass texture is the same one they used in Super Mario Sunshine. We ask why they couldn't just make the roads curve. It's an infection of corner cutting, and these are only the first symptoms. You'd better believe I've got some HUD gripes in this game. This may be Volcaronite 2.0, but that doesn't mean we've left our primary antagonist behind. No, it's back and badder than ever. For the sake of brevity, I'll only mention the biggest two. First off, there's a giant honking mini-map in the corner, except that it's not really a mini-map. It's just a feed of your cart from a separate camera angle. I went to turn it off immediately, thinking that it'd be disabled with the minimap setting, but nope, there's no way to turn it off. It's there, useless as all get up. Second is the way that multiplayer free roam mode is implemented. Free roam itself is already kind of weird to access, being tucked away in the corner of the main menu, but my main problem is that for the duration of your time in multiplayer free roam, you'll be looking at this big black banner that takes up the bottom of your screen. It's a giant bullhorn yelling at you to stop farting around with this free roam nonsense and get on with the real game already, you kumquat. It almost feels like this game is a little ashamed of free roam. It's there, but it's lesser than the other features, and you definitely don't want to stay for too long. I think that's kind of a shame, not to mention very irritating. But alright, let's get to the main event. These little visual complaints are all fine and whatever, but this video isn't just a big list of nitpicks, is it? No. It's time for me to tell you about the fundamental flaw, the true tragedy of Mario Kart World. All around the world are, as we talked about, the various types of challenges. You've got your P-switches, your charge and chalk races, all of those little question block panels. These challenges have rewards. These rewards are, in order, decals, decals, and decals. This is, to put it mildly, underwhelming. After all, the challenges basically amount to the same thing. Get your cart there, fast. The only difference between any of them is that the target might be moving. Whoop-de-doo. Now, decals are fine, I guess, but there are actually a few other things that you unlock. Nothing major, just characters, carts, bikes, costumes, extra tracks, and mirror mode. You know, only every gameplay element that exists in this game. And how do you unlock these? Random thwacking chance. That's how. You unlock characters by racing through Grand Prix in solo and hoping that you're playing against them. But if you're not, don't worry, because a random question block drop, the Kamek Crystal Ball, might transform you into a new character. It's completely random. You have no control over it. I haven't even bothered to try unlocking all of the characters, but here's my friend Z's take on the whole thing. Now, lots of characters also have unlockable costumes. These are purely aesthetic, but they're a lot of fun and can make racing as an old favorite character feel fresh and cool. How do you unlock them? Well, you have to find a food vendor around the world. You can do this in races or just in free roam and collect the food. Then you eat the food by using it, it acts like a mushroom, and it seemingly has a random chance to transform you into a new costume. This isn't actually random. You can travel around the world and hunt down the specific food stands and drops that contain each costume, but without an external chart that tells you this, you're playing blind. As for carts and bikes, you unlock a new one every time you collect 100 coins. This is a global coin tally, so you can collect them in any racing mode. But once you do, you'll get a notification that a random new vehicle has been made available. The Special Cup is at least a little better. You just have to complete each Grand Prix once and you'll unlock it. It's got 3 tracks that you may have already visited when driving around in free roam, as well as the fabled Rainbow Road. By the way, Mario Kart World's rendition of the track is pretty good. It's no Mario Kart Wii, but I like it. You can't ever explore Rainbow Road in free roam, but at least there's a decided way to find it. Because the randomization of the rest of the unlocks is frustrating for several reasons. The first is just that randomization can be, by its nature, frustrating. When you're on the hunt for something you like, or you just want to unlock a specific cart, or even simply be in control of when you get new stuff, you can't. You're at the whim of the Cosmoems. The Mario Kart games are already filled with enough randomization in the chaotic item pulls and the tracks. Why did it need to make its way into unlocks? Previous Mario Kart titles had random unlocks too, but in those it made more sense. Sure, you needed to get gold trophies to randomly roll a new character in Mario Kart 8, but there wasn't anything else to do in that game. You got it for the racing, and racing was all you do. But as I've stated several times now, the flagship feature of Mario Kart World is not the new racetracks or any of the new items or even the cow, it's free roam. To me, it seems painfully, almost blindingly obvious that the unlocks should have been a part of the open world. Instead of chasing down Charge and Chuck for a decal, maybe you're chasing Waluigi in order to get him to join your roster. Rather than randomly rolling a cart when you get 100 coins, maybe you could buy it at a store unique to each track. Characters can challenge you at the tracks named after them. Maybe you don't even start off knowing any of the specific tracks and have to find them in the open world. I can't believe I'm saying this about a Mario Kart game, but this racer is desperately missing a story mode. Let me paint you a picture of Mario Kart World. It might seem like a weird choice, but I promise you that it can work and would fit amazingly into the world of this game. The first time you launch the game, you're immediately put into a race as Mario. You're racing down the Mario Bros circuit against a bunch of random enemy characters. None of the big names, real basic stuff. You win the race and a race coach Toad or whatever says, "Wow, gee, that was awesome, Mario. Listen, I want you to get a Grand Prix going, so why don't you go see if you can find 3 more tracks for it?" And so you go. You're in free roam, except it's just the game. You wander, say, north down the road, collecting coins and completing mini challenges, just like the real game, until you stumble into Wario Stadium, where the big man himself is waiting. He challenges you to a one-on-one race, just 1 lap. You win, get his respect, and now he's a character. Boom. Next, you make your way a little further to get to Choco Mountain, and the same deal. But this time, it's just a spike or something, but he's got a sick new set of wheels that you want. So you race him, win, and win the new cart. One more trip to Moo Moo Meadows, you race the cow and win. Bish Bash Bosh, your own custom Grand Prix, a la carte. Everyone's will be different, it's just the first 3 tracks that you discover, along with the Mario Bros circuit. But now you have your own Grand Prix, with 4 tracks you discovered yourself to race on. And you win, getting a coin prize along with the new vehicle of your choice. The game goes on, and the challenges to unlock tracks and characters get harder. You race at Toad's factory to win Toad, except he's rigged it so the conveyor belts move against you, but for him. You race Bowser at Bowser's castle, and he's always got a fire flower equipped. Acorn Heights has you race for a time, except there's a bunch of mischievous nabbits all over, getting in your way and messing up the track. It occurs to me that this is basically the same formula that Nintendo used for World of Light in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, an explorable map with a bunch of the main gameplay competition points scattered around it. Here in Mario Kart, that formula would be even cooler because it's more open-ended, discovery-driven, and instead of walking around a JPEG, you're cruising down a big beautiful world. All of this is in service to taking the random unlocks and integrating them into the open world. It's leaning into the open world, it's in the title, for crying out loud. Mario Kart World isn't a bad game for lacking this story mode or anything, and if you're way into competitive racing or the battle modes or whatever, great. This might be the most perfect Mario Kart game ever for you, and more power to you. All of this would just get in your way. But the people who made this game aren't idiots. They knew what they were doing when they placed the game in an open world. They could have made a bog standard Mario Kart 9, and it still would have gone on to be the best-selling game on the Switch too, just as Mario Kart World will certainly do. They didn't do that though. They put the world in this game and they named the game after it. They made this game the only first-party Switch exclusive game to be available for the first month and a half of the console's life. No, Welcome Toward, you don't count. It's clear that this game is trying to maintain the broad, huge appeal of the Mario Kart series and give it an extra single-player dimension, and they did 95% of the work to get there. I'm serious, this game is almost at the finish line. We're on the final lap, we're in first, and we've got the air horn. Nothing can stop us. All this game needed was that little extra push to make the world worth exploring. But it didn't get there. So we have Mario Kart World, the prettiest Mario Kart game ever, packed in with what would happen if Splatoon 3's matchmaking lobby had no walls. I think that's a real shame. It's not a bad game, but I'm ready to move on. Mario Kart World gets a B-.
Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. I'd love it if you could take a second to hit the subscribe button right below. It helps me out a ton, and it'll make it even easier for you to get updated whenever I make another cool video. Win-win. Until that next video, check out my Switch 2 game pitches video. If you like my take on the story mode for this game, I bet you'll really enjoy my ideas for 4 major Nintendo franchise games. Give it a watch. But that's all I've got for you today, so enjoy your day and take care.